Good morning, and welcome to the Seasons of Self-Actualization, where we dive into each season as they come, giving it the attention it deserves, to help us understand and embrace all the parts of ourselves, so we can live our lives to the capacity that we know we can. For the season of spring, we have been looking at how we can create space in our environments to feel potentially reset, renewed, and to become more supported, to grow and bloom. I'd like to start off today by thanking you so much for being present here with me. I am so grateful to get to be here with you. Don't forget to grab some water or a warm drink as per usual. Make sure to stay hydrated, and you know that it's a short one, so let's just jump right in. I want to know, how are you today? How are you today? We are going to do the 4-7-8 breathing technique, so just sit on that question while we do it. I'll do it once with you, and then you can try to continue on your own. It's designed to encourage mind-body alignment for the support of calmness and clarity. So you're going to exhale all your air first. You're going to breathe 4 counts in through your nose. You're going to hold that for 7 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then you're going to exhale through your mouth for 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So keep trying to continue these breaths and think about how you're feeling right now. How are you doing today? Maybe if you're in a spot where you can move your shoulders back a little bit, roll out the tension, maybe roll your head around really slowly to the left, to the right. Maybe take your fingers and massage the back of your neck, a little bit around your shoulders for a second. Keep taking some deep breaths. I'm personally feeling a little bit, I think jittery is the right word. I had, 1 cup too much coffee. Feeling good, just I know I need to take it a little bit easier. Need to drink some water as well, but besides that, I'm doing pretty good. Make sure to unclench your jaw while you're breathing. All right, so you can just keep trying to connect with yourself a little bit while I read the affirmation of this week. So the affirmation is, I accept myself for who I am and create peace, power, and confidence of mind and of heart. So, in the last 2 weeks, we noticed things that we can change in our environments. It might have started within your physical areas or the people who were around you. Then we also evaluated our online environment, the influence it has on us, but also our influence, which we have on it. But this week, I want to talk about things in our environment that we don't have influence over, and how this powerless feeling within that environment can actually be used as a powerful tool. But how can we create space in our environments when we feel like there isn't any room for change? The things that are not variables, the things that are fixed, the uncontrollable. And even when I say that, it gives this feeling of powerlessness. And personally, if there's one emotion I dread the most, I think it's that one. It can just be so frustrating. And I think sometimes it's even more frustrating when someone tells us to focus on what we can control, because it just somehow feels so invalidating, and that just kind of fuels this infuriation of this powerless feeling. And whether it's a person in our environment who just cannot seem to understand where we're coming from, the miserable components of how things are run at our schools, our jobs, and even unfortunate outcomes of things that we were really counting on. These things all have the capability of directly affecting our days, our moods, our decisions, and even our state of well-being. That is pretty powerful. And when you think about the examples I just gave and how much influence those things have on our days, you could conclude that you might even depend on those things not happening so that you can maintain a certain degree of peace. And when they do happen, our world kind of starts to crumble and unravel, and we start to lose sight of what we can do, if there's even anything to do, or when we'll even be able to feel okay again. And when we start to lose sight of those things, we start to become even more and more fixated on what we can't control. And again, don't worry, I'm not going to tell you to just focus on what you can control, because we all know it's way easier said than done. And a lot of times, you can't see outside of that scope. So instead, what I actually would like you to think about is what you can't control. Think about it for a minute. What is that for you right now? Is it a person? Is it a circumstance? Is it a situation that you find yourself in and day out? I actually want you to think about it, and I want you to ask yourself this. What were you needing from this? What were you needing from this person? Or maybe what were you hoping for without even realizing you were hoping for it? What were you depending on? What were you counting on? What did you hope it to be? Maybe it's something you needed. Oftentimes, though, we aren't in tune with what it is we need, which it almost sounds silly, because if we need it, it almost seems like it could be obvious. But honestly, sometimes our body, or sometimes even our mind, is just ahead of us. We know we need something without realizing we're needing it, without even further analysis about where that need comes from or why. When we actually haven't gotten what we need, and especially when we haven't realized it either, at this point in the thinking cycle, we're starting to actually spiral, because we've been given proof kind of over and over again that we're not getting our needs met, and then without kind of being on board that there was a need that needed to be met in the first place, we keep expecting it. We keep expecting to get whatever we hoped for or whatever we needed or expected out of the situation. And when I say that, it might sound a little bit direct, because it sounds like it's about you and what you're expecting, but I want you to keep in mind that expecting things is a tool, not a bad thing. I think that we personally come up with expectations to try and reflect the needs that we have, or maybe even we haven't even identified for ourselves. Expectations are kind of a signal, right, from ourselves, from our subconscious, that we need something, that we're hoping for something. Expectations are a way that we communicate with our deepest desires, whether we realize it or not. So if you're finding yourself in a situation where you are feeling powerless, it might be because you're still expecting something to come from it that has been proven again and again that it's not going to happen. And when we come to terms with that can be painful, that can be sad, and that can be honestly really disappointing. Here's the beautiful part of the situation where you feel powerless and that there's no room for change. We've identified two things. One is that we have a want or a need that's crucial to our well-being, to our state of peace, so we can learn about ourselves. And two, we know where we cannot get that want or need met. So we've learned something about our environment and what it can and can't provide to us. That creates an opportunity. The disappointment is there, and please acknowledge that for yourself, because we don't want to just graze over the fact that this is a disappointing thing to face, but it doesn't mean that you have to accept your needs not being met. It doesn't mean that you have to accept that you can never get that need met and that things will never live up to what you thought they would be. Accepting doesn't mean to limit yourself. It means that you acknowledge the limits of someone or something else so that you can pivot your energy when you're ready. You do not have to feel happy about this. Actually, to allow yourself to keep feeling any negative feelings about it is a good thing, because it means you're not trying to push not getting your needs met away, but it can be a tool for afterwards when we are ready, as we ever will be, to pivot and to look at it as the opportunity that it is. But it's also an opportunity to set a boundary, and more often than not, that boundary is with ourselves. It's really interesting, because you'd think, I have to set a boundary with this person because they're not meeting my needs. But actually, the boundary is with the amount of time and effort you are going to allow yourself to spend on something or someone who hasn't met the need. Time and energy is a valuable asset that we have, that we own. And we need to protect that with boundaries for ourselves. Sometimes it looks like walking away. Yes, it depends on the degree of what's going on. But sometimes it looks like adjusting our expectations, and it looks like setting a boundary for how long you are going to allow yourself to spend your time and energy there, especially if you have to still have that person or factor in your life. So this week's challenge, and it's a challenge for a reason, is to actually try to listen to your needs through your disappointments, through your expectations, through things that might feel negative. Try to uncover why does it feel so painful? Why does that feel so disappointing? What does that say about what you're needing or hoping for? What are your expectations trying to tell you? And maybe that means you need to reevaluate where you are trying to get your needs met from, but maybe you need a new way of meeting your own needs. Like maybe you're trying to get them met from someone else when actually you're maybe the person who could better meet your own need. Give yourself permission to acknowledge your needs. Give yourself permission to acknowledge your hopes. Give yourself permission to feel disappointed. Give yourself permission to pivot when you're ready. I feel like this was an intense episode, and I don't know why. But if you have, some intense things coming up, maybe try to sit with it if you can. I think I feel it for myself, so it's totally understandable. I'm really curious, though, what it has brought up for you. So if you are open to sharing that in the comments, I would really love to know. And otherwise, I'd like to thank you for your time and acknowledge you right now for this investment you've made in yourself today, because you have. Keep going, even if that means sitting still. And remember to keep tuning into yourself. Be gentle with yourself, and make sure to tune in when you're up on Monday morning to set yourself up for another great week. And I will see you, or talk to you rather, in the next episode. Bye!